So we've now arrived safely on site and we're going to proceed to unload with the crane. So the driver will now enter the vehicle, start the engine, it's in neutral, the parking brake is applied. He'll switch on the PTO, which is the pump that powers the crane with hydraulic power. We'll then deploy the stabiliser legs. So Bob's just activated the pump, so the crane is now active. He's now deploying the stabiliser beam, so the crane is safe to unload. It's locked into position, as you can see. And he's now going to get a protective mat to even out the weight on the concrete surface so we don't do any damage. Now there's the wooden block, and in this lift that's all that's required. He's now deploying the other upright and raising the truck just enough off the ground, but the weight is taken off the suspension so the tray doesn't move left or right very much as we unload. So the driver's now creating an exclusion zone or a safety zone around the vehicle to protect the area that we're going to unload into. You don't need to use bollards. You can use star pickets, a piece of timber, whatever you can find to create a highly visible zone of safety. So as you can see, anybody that enters this zone would know that they are in harm's way. So now this is blocked out for the driver to use. A lot of drivers may feel that they can't construct a safe work zone like this. I would say to them, if you feel you can't, maybe think again, is what you're doing actually unsafe? Today to demonstrate some very typical workplace hazards that you will encounter in a vehicle loading crane. One is an obvious one, like a nice big tree. You'll find this in people's back gardens as you're unloading a home delivery from a retail store. Over here, the ultimate no-no. We've got power lines. They must be avoided at all costs. The rule is look up and live. There is no second chance with high voltage. The law is very specific about the safe working distances from power lines. You cannot necessarily know just by looking at that overhead hazard what voltage is in those lines. So the more distance you get, the better. It's now slewing the crane around. Really good motion there. Extending roughly in the middle, and he'll now go out and attach the slings using the shortest possible sling configuration. The driver's applying the correct method of feeding it through the hook and the latch. Got a secure contact, and he'll take up the slack very slowly with the crane to get into position for the test lift so we don't lose control of it. As you can see, the slings are outside the gluts, so it's not going to creep in and let the load overbalance. Slewing it out gently. Retracting the boom and getting it on the ground as soon as possible. Now if we needed to position it, Bob's going to do exactly what I would have done. He's got it right close to the ground, going to give it a bit of a spin, keeping his feet completely away from it. So he's going to line it up and drop it pretty quick now with no damage done. And down we go. So from there we just keep bringing the hook down. So we've recovered our round slings from under the load. We're having a quick visual check as we put them away, and we can see nothing snagged or caught on it during the lift or the recovery. Now taking extreme care when we get on the back of the truck, because obviously one of the biggest rates of injury for a vehicle driver like this is actually to fall off the back of your own truck. Maintaining his 3 points of contact as he comes down, protecting his ankles. We're now going to demonstrate the correct way to lift a 1,500 kilo Loscam pallet of cement bags. We're using lifting bars and the correct sling configuration so that the weight is actually distributed across the entire structure of the pallet and it can safely lift it without the pallet collapsing. Passing the slings directly through the bones of the pallet is a complete no-no. The pallet will fail every time. Up we come in a nice gentle motion. Slings are taking the weight and distributing it evenly. The bones of the pallet will not fail and the bags will not fall off. Nice easy movement. And put him down gently. Now recovering the bars. Obviously we need to wear our gloves for this because it's a very high chance of of pinching yourself and getting splinters. And then we go back to the same process of recovering the slings from the hook, recovering your straps to make sure nothing was damaged during the course of our lift. Okay, so we're now finished our lifting, loading and unloading. We're now packing up the crane, preparing it for safe travel. So now we're lifting the stabiliser up, taking the pressure off it. The truck suspension is kicked back in, and we push the beam back in, making sure his hydraulic hoses don't get kinked, locking it into position and checking it. The double check is absolutely vital. Now we do the same process on the other side. We'll now put our mats and dunnage away, so we leave no rubbish on site. So we put that away safely, and we stow it to make sure it doesn't fall off the vehicle during travel. So a good driver is always mindful, as he's putting his gear away, that he's actually checking it, looking for damage which could bring him down during a lift. We see a problem, we notify someone, we tag it out. So thanks for watching. Today we've demonstrated many skills and many things that are required to do a safe crane truck delivery, from loading and unloading, setting up the crane and packing it up,